Hey looters, Flutes here, and I've got a big one for you today where I went through every class to try to fix their capstones, their level 20 abilities, so that you're not always so tempted to multi-class. That's what we'll be looking at today on Flutes Loot. You may find it easier to follow the link in the description to the article I wrote on this subject where I went over all the capstones and what changes I would make. That'll take you to flutesloot.com, maintained by me and my wife, Opal. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so that you can see more content, sometimes homebrew, sometimes different discussions about whatever, anything D&D, we'll talk about it with you. Before I get into the capstones, I want to give the premise for what I'm doing with this. I don't want to make them grossly overpowered, but I want to make the level 20 capstones strong so that you don't always want to multi-class, or at least that you have a trade-off where you know, oh, if I was going to be playing to level 20, I really want that capstone. I don't want a multi-class. If you're not going to level 20, it obviously doesn't matter, right? It's just fun game design amateur hour for me. Didn't want to break anything, did want to make them very powerful so that they are tempting, and they're not going to disappoint anyone going to level 20. Oh, and I want them to build on what the class already has in some way and be synergistic. So going in alphabetical order, first is the Artificer. I really like what it gets already. You get +1 to all your saving throws per item you are attuned to, magic item, and you, as an Artificer at this level, get to attune to more magic items. So it is synergistic with your previous features. But I think we need one more thing. So I added in a little detail. Artificers can make magic items faster and cheaper than other characters because of their magic item adept feature. So I upgraded that a little bit. Instead of it being limited to uncommon and common magic items, I just said it also applies to rare magic items. So now you can make rare magic items much faster as an Artificer of level 20. You are a level 20 Artificer. You should be the best at crafting. And so maybe the legendary and very rare items, yeah, it still takes you just as long because those are crazy. At least rare, let's throw it in there that you are very proficient in crafting those too. Barbarian is next. They get +4 to con, +4 to strength, and they get unlimited rages. It's easy to miss the unlimited rages if you don't look at their progression table of how many rages per day they get, but that's part of it. I already love this, but it's pretty common for barbarians to peace out and not go full 20 levels. I keep this capstone as it is, but I add 2 more things. Rage damage goes from +4 to +5. Nothing crazy there. The second part is going to play off of the brutal critical mechanic that the barbarians get at other levels that allow them to add more dice to their critical hits based on their weapon they're using. My change is that whenever a barbarian is raging and rolls a melee weapon critical hit, they don't have to roll the dice, they just do the maximum damage. So if they have a great axe with brutal critical that would normally do 4d12 damage plus rage damage plus strength, then the weapon dice alone will do 48 damage, their max. Is that crazy? You're still a barbarian. You're not a wizard casting wish. You're not a cleric calling upon the gods to do whatever you ask them to. You just do a lot of damage. And if you're a barbarian and you've ever been stuck in a force cage, then yeah, maybe you feel just fine being able to max out your crit damage once in a while. By the way, as we're going through these, I have made some tweaks to these since my initial publish of the article because there's a poll in it where I ask everyone to say, was this too much? Was it too little? And some of the feedback I got was, oh, this is too strong, this is too weak, and so I did make some tweaks. Just so you know, your feedback is appreciated. Having said that, the Bard is next. This was a tough one. Right now they get Superior Inspiration, which means when they roll initiative and don't have any Bardic Inspiration, they get 1 back. Just 1. I'm going to change that to 2, bare minimum, let's make that 2. I also decided that to help their action economy, when you use your bonus action to instill Bardic Inspiration, you actually give out 2 of your Bardic Inspiration dice at once. So it's not that you're splitting 1 and 2 people get it, you are just spending 2 at once to inspire 2 people. You're already using your bonus action a lot as a bard, and so trying to do it and keep up with who's going to need it can be cumbersome. And so being able to dish them out faster helps your action economy and your team. I also wanted to play into the magical secrets, so I said, you know what, Bard? Let's give you some cantrips and some more spells. Magical secrets for everybody. You get 4 cantrips from any class you want, 4 spells from any class you want, and they count as bard spells. So that's 8 new spells as a bard. You're already pretty limited in the spells you know as a bard, so I don't think this is crazy. It is interesting that it's at level 20, so any level 9 spell is available to you. Have fun being a bard. That's not all though, because from my Baldur's Gate days, I do miss when bards would just be able to play music during battle and empower their allies, almost like with a bless spell sort of thing. So I said, you know what, level 20, let's give the bard one more option called Song of Ages. I'm going to read this one because it's kind of long. Your music empowers your allies as their spirits are lifted during battle. You may use your action to play a musical instrument with which you are proficient in order to grant allies who can hear you within 120 feet a bonus equal to your charisma modifier to skill checks, saving throws, and attack rolls. The song lasts for up to 1 minute, as if concentrating on a spell. It does require concentration. Song of Ages ends early if you become incapacitated or stop playing your instrument, which you must play for the duration of the song. Once you use this feature, you cannot do so again until you complete a long rest. So if you just want to buff your allies, if you're out of spell slots or whatever, dish out bonuses to all your allies based on your charisma modifier and make their saving throws and their attacks super bolstered, this feels like a level 20 bard to me. Is it too strong to give them this and the other things I gave them? Maybe, but again, I want these capstones to shine. I don't want it to be an automatic choice to multi-class. I want you to really want these. Next up is Cleric, which I initially said don't change it. Just give them their Divine Intervention guaranteed to work every 7 days, because that's the cooldown period. And that's good enough because it's like Wish, but better. But it also stinks if you just have 7 levels of not being able to do anything. So I threw in one more thing based on my experience with the Cleric I played, where I got to attune to the Book of Exalted Deeds. The new feature is called Chosen One. Any spell slot you expend to cast a Cleric spell counts as a spell slot of 1 level higher. So if you cast Spirit Guardians at 3rd level, you treat it as if you had cast it at 4th level. So instead of doing the 3d8, it does 4d8. This is just a great way to amplify all your spell casting. I did this because some of the feedbacks initially said that the Cleric was still kind of I wasn't going to change it, like I said. But I just threw in this one little detail based on my experience with what was fun as a Cleric. It was a Life Cleric, and it was fun to just upcast all of my spells, especially because it healed me more with my Life Cleric features. Free upcasting. Woohoo! By the way, it shouldn't be ignored that some of these spellcasters at level 20 do get another 7th level spell slot, but they could technically multi-class and get that, because spell progression by slots doesn't necessarily change if you go to another spellcaster, full spellcaster. So I don't include those in the capstones, but it is notable. Druid is next. This one's super interesting because having Wild Shape unlimited is super broken for some of the subclasses. The Moon Druid, for example, benefits greatly. Land Druid just gets a benefit, true. It's cool that your level 18 Beast spellcasting is enhanced by also being able to ignore verbal and somatic components when you're casting those druid spells and everything. That's great. We won't change that. But Wild Shape, the fact that it is so skewed towards one subclass doesn't seem right to me. Some of the newer subclasses, they have alternative options for their Wild Shape where they become starry, do fire effects and everything. And so I don't think there's much of a problem there. The Paladin is the only class that has capstones tailored to their subclass. It's not a class feature, it's a subclass feature. At level 20, each subclass gets some like transformation or whatever. So I thought, let's do the same thing with Druid. So I had some fun with some of the subclasses and gave each of them tailored capstones. And some of them still keep that like Wild Shape ability or whatever. A Circle of Dreams Archdruid can use Hidden Paths, their subclass feature, an unlimited number of times. So lots of Misty Stepping with a partner. And then I wanted to play into the Dream spell because I love the Dream spell. I need to do a video about it soon. I have an article about it. I really went deep into what you could do with it. But anyway, here's what the Circle of Dreams gets as an Archdruid. Anytime you cast Dream and choose to create a monstrous or terrifying messenger in the target's dream, as explained by the Dream spell's description, you can choose to deal additional psychic damage to the target. The additional damage is equal to 5 times the difference between your wisdom and the target's wisdom, minimum of 5 damage. You can deal this additional psychic damage once per long rest. So part 1 of the Dream enhancing is you can deal extra psychic damage to anyone you're terrifying through the Dream spell. The spell already can do psychic damage, I think it's 3d6, so taking the difference between your wisdom and the target's wisdom and adding more psychic damage feels pretty cool for level 20. But part B to this, is when you cast the Dream spell on a creature that is awake, that creature must make a wisdom saving throw with disadvantage or magically fall asleep for the duration of the spell or until they wake up. Targets that are immune to charm or magical sleep are immune to this casting of Dream in this way. A creature gains no resting benefits from this instance of sleep. You can attempt to cast Dream on a creature that is awake in this way once per long rest. And then I also had them keep the verbal and somatic component thing from the basic Druid, Archdruid capstone. So that's the Circle of Dreams. You get more of your hidden paths teleporting, and you should become the best caster of the Dream spell in the game. You are the Circle of Dreams, so why not? Archdruid Circle of the Land is next. You choose one additional land type for your Circle Spells feature. So right off the bat, keep in mind this means you have 10 new spells that are always prepared, just from choosing a new land type and gaining all those land spells. We go on. You can use your action to undergo a transformation. For 1 minute, your appearance changes to reflect your bond with nature, such as horns of a mountain goat or tree sap coating your skin, and you gain the following benefits. You can cast Druid spells as a bonus action if they would normally require 1 action to cast. Don't forget, this is a transformation if that sounds too strong. It's temporary. At the start of each of your turns, while you have at least 1 hit point, you regain 10 hit points. You gain the benefits of the Bark Skin and Stone Skin spells, no concentration required, and you cast Wrath of Nature centered on yourself, no concentration required, for the duration of your transformation. Wrath of Nature's area moves with you at its center. These spells cannot be dispelled from you while you are transformed in this way. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. The transformation ends early if you reach 0 hit points or die. And then you get the somatic components thing from the original Archdruid feature. So this obviously takes inspiration from the Paladin subclass capstones that I mentioned before. It's a transformation, you have regeneration of your hit points, your spell casting is made a bonus action, and you gain a lot of defenses. Bark Skin will make your minimum AC higher. Stone Skin gives you resistance to weapon attack damage if they're not magical. Wrath of Nature just makes you a walking forest disaster as your plants and rocks and everything come to life seemingly to attack your enemies. I don't think this is broken by any means. I think it's a really cool transformation for the Circle of Land, which really feels cheated compared to the Circle of the Moon in the player's handbook. And it's only gotten worse since new cooler subclasses have come out. The third one that I redid is the Archdruid Circle of the Shepherd. You keep your wild shape unlimited in this case, which you're a shepherd. You're kind of more into the animal stuff than Dream and Land Druids. And the verbal somatic component stuff, keep that. Here's what you gain, Circle of the Shepherd, that's new. When you summon an incorporeal spirit with your spirit totem feature, it gains the aura of all 3 options for your spirit types. So usually you have to pick one of the 3, you just get all 3 now. You also gain the benefits of your guardian spirit feature, allowing the spirit's aura to heal you. While you are in beast form with your wild shape feature, you can choose to heal your animal form or your true form when you're healed by guardian spirit. So your guardian spirit, you can choose to, while you're an animal, actually be healing your true form. This is probably the simplest of my druid reworks, but I think it's good, and it synergizes well with the previous gains from this subclass, especially because it can still do the wild shape unlimited. I think that's great. The fighter is next, which at level 20, its extra attack goes from 2 bonus attacks to 3, giving you 4 total attacks every time you use the attack action. This is obviously good, but let's add some more here. I made a feature called Warrior of Legend. It's going to feed into the extra attacks and some of the basic fighter features. So Warrior of Legend, you gain 2 more fighting styles of your choice. This will help you become more diverse in your options if you want to vary the kind of attacks you're doing, or if you want to just gain a few fighting styles like blind fighting or defense so that you can see in a dust cloud of pocket sand, or your armor class is just a little bit better. Moving on, if a creature hits you with 2 attacks during its turn, any remaining attacks that the creature makes against you will automatically miss unless they're rolled with advantage. This was kind of inspired by the Hunter Ranger in the player's handbook, how subsequent attacks against it from the same creature are more likely to miss due to an armor class boost. But this one will straight up make it so creatures with crazy multi-attacks will need to get advantage on you if they're even going to attempt to hit you more than twice. But keep in mind, this isn't just that you were attacked twice, it's that you were hit. So I don't think it's broken because they have to actually hit you twice. They already hit you 2 times, and then you're just dodging other attacks that might have missed anyway. If they have advantage, they can still try to hit you. And then synergizing with extra attack where you're doing 4 attacks per round, and then potentially action surging for 8 attacks, maybe a bonus action for a 9th. Your combat prowess can overwhelm creatures as you rain down a whirlwind of attacks. Once per turn, when you hit a single creature with 4 consecutive attacks during a turn, so 4 in a row, not just 4 attacks, 4 consecutive attacks that you hit, choose one of the following effects. You resist bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage dealt by the creature. You have advantage on the next saving throw the creature forces you to make. Your attacks against the creature are rolled with advantage. That's if you action surge specifically, because you have more attacks. You have half cover against the creature, defensive. The creature rolls attacks against you at disadvantage, another defensive. The creature loses its reaction until the start of its next turn. So you choose one of those, and you can only do it once per turn. So if you action surge and hit the same creature 8 times, So triggering this twice, you'd still only do it once, so you couldn't pick more than one. Unless specified otherwise, the chosen effect lasts until the start of your next turn, so it lasts for the round. I like this so much because it gives the fighter more of an edge over other martials to actually feel like they're good at all the martial weapon stuff, because it's got more fighting styles, they can overwhelm a single foe, and they can defend themselves very well. This just feels right to me. The fighter is a cool class. It's not bad by any means, but it's pretty basic, and so I think giving it this kind of power boost at high levels is good. With fighter subclasses such as the Echo Knight or the Rune Knight, I kind of wonder if they need this strong of a capstone. Regardless, I think this is fine for now. We'll see what the polls say, if people think it's too strong or too weak or just right. The monk at level 20 already suffers because it's been a monk for 20 levels. They have a lot of problems along the way. I think monks need a rework in general, far before level 20. But for the sake of this exercise, let's just rework the capstone. Right now the capstone is when you roll for initiative and have no key points left, you get 4 back. This isn't bad, especially because monks are kind of key starved. They need those key points. Is it a capstone worth getting? No. So let's make their key also cheaper so they can use their other cool subclass features and stunning strikes. You no longer spend key points when using Flurry of Blows, Patient Defense, Step of the Wind, those are the 3 like basic martial arts monk abilities, or Deflect Missiles, the other one where you can catch and toss back arrows and whatnot. Additionally, your Constitution score increases by 4 to a maximum of 24, and you select either Dexterity or Wisdom to also increase by 4 to a maximum of 24. This is going to sound like I'm copying Treant Monk with his idea, but I kid you not, I wrote this like the same time that he put out his video reworking the monk, and my idea was also to kind of copy the Barbarian and do a stat boost. Didn't copy him, I was just a big smile when I realized he and I were on the same wavelength. So monks who are starved to want their dexterity and their wisdom high with also a good constitution, boost their constitution for more survivability, and then choose dexterity or wisdom to boost by 4 as well. I echo what Treant Monk said, where if we boosted just dexterity and wisdom by 4, then that would be an armor class boost of 4 as well because of unarmored defense. That would be very good. I wouldn't say it's broken by any means, but I didn't want to go that far with this. But what about the Paladin capstones? Didn't touch them. I think they're fine, and they kind of create the standard for what capstones should look like. And I like that they're subclass specific. No changes to the Paladin. If you think there are certain Paladin subclasses that their specific capstones are too weak, let me know, and perhaps I will just rework a few of those Paladin capstones by subclass and call it a day. Rangers at level 20. One of the worst capstones in the game. They just get to do their wisdom modifier to their attack or damage once per turn. It's pretty bad. Got rid of it, not keeping it, and I replaced it with Instinctual Focus. You can't be forced to roll concentration saving throws when concentrating on ranger spells. You only end your concentration if you choose to. And you can concentrate on up to 2 ranger spells at a time. You cannot concentrate on more than 1 instance of a spell at the same time. Initial feedback I'm getting on this is that it's still too weak for a ranger. I was going to make it so they just don't have to concentrate at all, but I walked that back because rangers have some really good concentration spells for summons and whatnot. So 1, limiting it so you can't concentrate on the same spell more than once, and limiting it to just 2 at a time. I initially had it at 3. Let me know if you think I could go to 3. I like this feature though because rangers usually have all their offensive needs covered for like bows or whatever weapons they're using at this point, and they just need more of a boost to their spell casting to feel more like rangers. So many of their spells could be cool if there wasn't some other concentration spell that trumps it. So let's give them the ability to use more than 1 at once and see what you can come up with. I think you can have a lot of fun with this. Rogues at level 20, I gave this a lot of thought because I don't think it's good enough what it already has, which is Stroke of Luck. I didn't think Stroke of Luck was good enough, but it's not bad. Once per short rest, you can choose to treat a skill check as if you rolled a 20, or you can choose to hit an attack where you would have missed. When I play a rogue, I tend to hedge my bets so I never fail skill checks or miss attacks because you got to make them count. Obviously, you still do sometimes, so Stroke of Luck is useful. So what do we add? I thought about doing a stat boost like the monk one I suggested, or the base barbarian, but I said, my first character was a rogue, and he gained an Ion Stone that increased his proficiency bonus by 1, and that lifted everything he did. His saving throws, attacks, skill checks, everything was improved by it. So I'm adding to Stroke of Luck here that your proficiency bonus as a character goes from +6 to +7. It's a +1 bonus to many things that you do, not damage, but you can be more successful. It felt good to me when I was playing a rogue to have that +1 proficiency bonus, so I will instill that to the internet now with my own capstone edit here. Oh, and this is also good because arcane tricksters don't get left out because the proficiency bonus even helps them with their DCs since they focus on spellcasting. Everybody wins. The sorcerer's level 20 capstone is called Sorceress Restoration. By the book, it's you regain 4 expended sorcery points when you finish a short rest. Well, that's underwhelming. It's good to get sorcery points, obviously, but level 20 ability, not really feeling it. I really want to give sorcerers more of a feel where they are the innate biological spellcasters. It's in them, it's part of them. So I looked at some of their earlier class features and made some adjustments to the capstone to play into those more. So you keep the Sorceress Restoration to get your sorcery points on short rest. That's fine, we keep that. We added, when you use your flexible casting feature to convert sorcery points into spell slots, the sorcery point cost is altered to equal 1 plus the level of the gained slot. You gain the ability to use flexible casting to create 6th level spell slots. For example, gaining a 6th level spell slot will cost 7 sorcery points. So you can now use sorcery points at a cheaper rate to create spell slots, but not in a way where you can kind of game the system. I was very aware of that. You also can't have multi-class as a warlock because you are level 20. So unless you're going beyond level 20 in your campaign, this is your limit. Additionally, you gain 1 more 8th level spell slot. So I mentioned earlier that spellcasters, full spellcasters at level 20 will get another 7th level spell slot. Now you get another 8th level spell slot. So you regain sorcery points as normal. You have more flexibility to transform your sorcery points into spell slots, which means now when you get those short rest sorcery points, you can actually turn them into more spell slots potentially. And you just get an 8th level spell slot. This feels good. I think this is one of the most well-balanced changes I made. If anything, I wonder if it's on the weak side, but I think this is great. Spells are powerful, so getting that extra spell slot and the ability to recover them better is very important. The Warlock is next with Eldritch Master. At 20th level, you can draw on your inner reserve mystical power, blah blah blah. You spend a minute basically asking for all your spell slots back, so you get like a really fast short rest spell slot refresh, once per long rest. You beg your patron and get your spell slots back. That's cool. As a warlock, this basically can double your spell slots for 1 instance because usually you get 4, now you get 8, and then you'll still get them back on a short rest. Is it good enough? No. So here's what else we're going to add. When you complete a long rest, you may select 1 warlock spell you know from your Pact Magic feature that has a casting time of 1 action. You can cast that spell at 9th level without expending a spell slot. When you do so, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. You may swap out your spell choice to select a different spell for this feature each time you complete a long rest. So you can pick a spell like Armor of Agathis and cast it at 9th level and give yourself a load of temporary hit points and cold damage to be dealt to people attacking you. To me, this is cool because the Mystic Arcanum doesn't allow you to upcast your spells. And so if you did want to do some crazy stuff with your low level spells and upcast them, you can't do it. And so this allows you to just get 1 instance of like supercharging one of your lower level spells into a 9th level, and that just feels good. I like to see more upcasting enabled because usually it's better to just cast a spell of a higher level with your higher level spell slots. And I said usually, it's not an absolute. And so giving someone a mechanic to actually freely say, here, upcast, and the opportunity cost is low, that just feels good. But that's not all. Additionally, you gain 2 warlock invocations of your choice, and they don't count against your invocations known. So just +2 invocations. I love invocations. It's one of the best parts of being a warlock, so let's give him 2 more at level 20. So you still get your 1 minute, get your spell slots back, your Pact Magic, not your Mystic Arcanum, so your 4 spell slots. You get 1 spell that you can slot into a 9th level casting once per long rest, and 2 more invocations. I think this is a great change. I don't think it's broken by any means. I enjoy this one. Last but not least is the Wizard. So signature spells definitely isn't good enough. Signature spells allows you to pick 2 of your 3rd level spells. You always get them prepared. So first of all, you get +2 to your spells prepared per day. That's nice. You can cast them once without expending a spell slot, once each per short or long rest. So you're really good at casting them. You might get them back quickly with short rests, and you still have them prepared so you can upcast them or cast them with spell slots other than the once per day. So essentially, +2 3rd level spell slots for specific spells and +2 preparations to get those 2 specific spells prepared. Not bad by any means. So let's just expand this to do more with it. I added in that you also get to pick 2 4th level spells and 1 5th level spell as part of your signature spells. That's +5 spells prepared and essentially 2 extra 4th level castings and 1 5th level casting of those spells. I had it where I was doing 2 5th level spells, but I got feedback that was too strong, so I dialed it back to just 1 5th level wizard spell, and this feels fine to me. Wizards are already strong though, so getting a capstone that's too strong might be problematic, but I really don't think this is. You're level 20 and you chose not to multi-class or anything, so yeah, get some more spells. use them, have some fun. Go cast Dream Spell without having to sacrifice Hold Monster or something. So those are my capstone revisions as of early October 2021. But like I said, I'm looking for feedback. Use your keyboard as your material component to cast Sending to the comment section down below, or scry over to that poll that I have in my article. Maybe I'll link that in the description below too if you want to just go straight to the poll, and let me know, what did you think of these? Too strong, too weak, just right, didn't need to change at all, or glad you didn't change anything? Let me know. I want to hear that feedback. I want to get these right. And I know that there are going to be changes to D&D in the future where these capstones might be altered. It'd be really cool to see that maybe we come up with some good capstones that we end up seeing in D&D officially one day. That'd be really cool, right? We could do that together. So please, please, please give me feedback. I need your brains. Many brains are better than one brain. That's all I have for you today. Remember to cast Mage Hand over onto that like button and that subscribe button so that you can feed the YouTube algorithm and let them know that you want to scry on us every time we have a new video out. We'd love to see you again. We want to get a lot of good discussions going. We really do just enjoy talking to all of you and getting our D&D fix outside of just playing. Because right now I only play once a week, and some of you play more often than that, some of you play less. But together, we can at least have YouTube. We'll always have YouTube, you and I. Have a good adventure this weekend. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.